Hello, Doctor. Okay, so this is my reflection on the Harvard Everest simulation. Okay, so what role did I play in the team and how did I contribute? Okay, so during the simulation, I played the role of the marathoner. So I was in peak physical condition. I've won big races like the New York and Chicago marathons, and now I am aiming to summit Mount Everest. And if I made it, I'd get this huge sponsorship deal. So yeah, high stakes. So as a marathoner, my responsibility was to forecast the weather every single day to help my team make smart decisions about whether we want to ascend or not. So earlier on, I realized that I had a big responsibility as making the wrong forecast would affect my team's decision making. Okay, so how did I apply or struggle with leadership theories during the simulation? And did my leadership approach change throughout the expedition? Okay, so earlier on, I think I applied a more observatory approach. I was like going with the flow and made decisions that was democratic. Like in day 2 and 3, Faraha, the photographer, wanted to stay a day in Camp 1 and 2. However, after gaining input from everyone, we decided as a team to stick together and move forward and only stop at Camp 2. So during that moment, we applied the participative leadership style by getting input from everyone and deciding. And then later on, when we had problem with the satellite communication, I realized that my leadership style had changed towards a more siloed approach. Because as a marathoner, I felt that it was my responsibility to forecast the weather. So I worked with information that I had by myself. Because during that time, I didn't know that my team had some information about weather that I could use for the forecast. So although it resulted us in making the right decision to ascend, however, we did not receive bonus point as my prediction was slightly off by 1 degree Celsius. But the good thing is none of us got frostbites. So I think that was the right decision to move, although the weather was extreme. Okay, so a reflection from this, maybe if I had gained input from everyone, we would have made a more accurate prediction and earned the bonus point. Okay, so along the way, I became more vocal, especially when we were distributing the oxygen tanks. Because initially the team wanted to divide the tanks equally so that everyone gets a fair share of oxygen. However, upon noticing that every oxygen tank has a significant weight, so I tried to convince the team that we only had to take the oxygen tanks that we only really need. So because we did not want the oxygen tank to burden us or exhaust us. So that's when we started doing calculations and eventually figured out that each member in the team had different oxygen requirements. Okay, so from here, I also learned that in a team, everyone has different strengths and equality might not be the best approach in all cases. Like in this situation, I've moved towards a more situational leadership style and proactive leadership style as compared to previously, because I believe that situational leadership is the more suited style in times of crisis. Okay, like in the situation where there isn't a crisis, like earlier on in day 1 and day 2, where the situation was calm, so a democratic leadership style may be more suitable to keep the team in harmony. Because as a marathoner, I required more oxygen during the last push to summit, so I had to advocate for more oxygen tanks. And upon conveying this information to my team, that was when we noticed that the information that every team member gets from this simulation was different and unique. So all this while, we thought everyone was on the same page. We thought everyone received the same day information, and that was already like day 5, only 2 days to go. So from this moment onwards, we learned to be more transparent and to use effective communication. So we didn't just rely on one team member to do the thinking or decide, but we started sharing information that we had in the team chat to help us understand each other better, of our situation and goals, so that we could make a more balanced decision, and that results in the best outcome for the team. Okay, so on the last push to submit, during that time, everyone already had a degree of health deterioration. Me and Helmi, our environmentalist, both had AMS, severe AMS. But during this time, we as a team were already less individualistic, as I noticed, as compared to earlier on, and we communicated and collaborated. So in turn, we became more collectivistic. So Atika, our medical doctor, could only give one medicine at a time to either me or Helmi. And during this time, that was the moment that Helmi started to be more open and transparent about his personal goals of wanting to stay in Camp 4. As a team, we decided that Helmi should stay at Camp 4 and I would be the one to get the medicine and continue to submit. So eventually, 3 of our team members successfully submit, with Helmi staying at Camp 4 and I was the only one being rescued. Okay, basically we miscalculated the oxygen tank requirement, although earlier on we already realized that everyone's requirement was different, and also we have already started communicating as a team to find the best distribution of oxygen tanks. However, there is some miscalculation of oxygen requirement for my part, and that resulted in me not being able to submit. Okay, so how will I apply these lessons in my future career or leadership roles? I work as an engineer, specifically in the power generation industry, where decisions often involve speed, cost, and efficiency. So there will be situations where not everything will be perfectly planned or predictable, and other people may hold pieces of information that I don't. So especially as I work in HQ, I will have to communicate well with people outside. So moving forward, I want to create space for conversations that could help surface critical information early on as we work in multidisciplinary teams. So by having this platform that encourages communication, mindfulness, and openness, apart from helping us tackle problems more efficiently, it can also create a space for shared learning. Because for me, when my work involves overseeing performance of power plants across Malaysia, sometimes the issues among power plants are very common. So if we work in silo, like one power plant only look at their problem, it's actually a missed opportunity for us to learn from others. That's why I believe good leadership isn't just about solving problems, but it's also about creating the right environment for people to learn from one another and move forward together. So I would also apply what I've learned about balancing being task-focused with being people-focused. So in order for me to gain that support and influence, I think it's very important for me to be mindful, especially in the industry that I'm working at, where during plant outages, the pressure to meet deadlines can be very intense. But I've seen how much smoother things can go when departments collaborate. So it's not just merely about reporting up the chain, but it's also about working together. So it's important for the team to feel heard, to be involved, and also to feel supported in the process. So each of us may have our individual KPIs to meet, and sometimes our goals may contradict with one another, and that is the reality in the working world. But making a decision that is best for the company as a whole should be the ultimate goal, and also the spirit. Because ultimately, sustainable success comes not just from individual success, but also from trust, connection, and a shared purpose. Okay, so what changes would I make to my leadership style after this experience? Okay, in short, I would say put trust in the team, communicate better, don't try to solve everything by yourself, especially during a crisis, but encourage input and thoughts from other members as well. Although we may be an expert in one field, but getting other people's view and opinion can help reduce oversight. Be more open, transparent, and be more collaborative. Because at the end of the day, leadership is not about individual wins, it's about moving forward together as a team in the right direction towards organizational success, which in return will benefit its people. So that's all from me. Thank you.